It's the dream of so many people today. It was also the dream of many people in past generations. At the turn of the past century, as many as 50% of all adults in the United States were self-employed. But as our great-grandparents and grandparents moved through a worldwide depression and 2 world wars during the 1900s, the pendulum swung away from agriculture and small business ownership toward industrialization and employment in medium to large companies. The number of business owners hit an all-time low of 7% during the late 1970s, but by 1990 that number had climbed to 13%. And by 1991, the number of self-employed in the U.S. had increased to over 25%. Who knows? By the turn of the century or beyond, the number may even climb as high as 50%, as it was in the year 1900. In fact, according to a study done by AT&T, that 50% projection is not out of the question. During the next few moments, let's talk about 2 major concepts: personal business ownership and the power of distribution. Then, in a few minutes, let's explore the potentially profitable, exciting role you can play in the latest economic trends. But first, let's introduce 2 interesting business people who have successfully discovered the power of distribution. Here is Jim Martin, a veterinarian from Kentucky.
I went to college like 9 years, went 5 years at Berea and 4 at Auburn. And after spending 9 years of college, I went out and interned at an animal hospital, had 15 other veterinarians. They were one of the largest in the state of Kentucky. I kid people and tell them that the other 15 guys worked on the front end of the horse and I got the back end because they got there first. But the thing, after working about 6 months there, I realized something, that the guy that owned the business really had the best jobs, the best income, the best lifestyle, and I had a long way to go. And owning your own business gives you a lot of things. It gives you cash flow, it gives you tax advantages, it gives you a way to develop net worth. And I had none of those. All I was doing was a high-paid hourly wage employee. And so I wanted to own my own business, but then I found out the problems with that, having to borrow money, have to spend a lot of time on a less income than you could make originally starting out, like on a job working for somebody else, and a lot of delayed gratification. And I done had that 9 years of college. My wife and children had that for 9 years of college. So to go in business for yourself takes a tremendous sacrifice because you're delaying the gratification that much longer. And so I remember when I started my own animal hospital, the borrowing the money and the investments and depriving my family and stuff like that, the long hours and just looking just to get out of debt, get out of debt, get out of debt. And it wipes your creativity out. And I've seen so many of my friends just lose what they went to school for, and the dream, the enjoyment of practicing became a management business, and it got to be the dollar instead of the fun and enjoyment of it. So not only did you not have the income, but you lost the pleasure and the joy out of your practice and out of your family. And I really got reading and looking and checking into some things and found out that there are trends that happen, and if you take advantage of them at the right time. I see friends of mine that had McDonald's, or friends of mine that invested in the right stock at the right time, and they were really living a good life. And I said, darn it, they didn't go to school, and they didn't really invest that much. They just hit the right thing at the right time. And this business is that business now. In other words, if you had a time machine and $10,000, I bet you'd look up Ray Kroc or Sam Walton, because with both of them, you'd be a multimillionaire today. But opportunities aren't made when it already happens and everybody knows it'll work, because when everybody knows it'll work, the income and the profitability is not there. So the thing is to see something before it happens, a trend. And everything that I can research and find out, I read a book from Thomas Stanley, and he said that, and it was later reprinted in Reader's Digest, Marketing to the Fluent. He said that most millionaires in America have made their money in basic services, 85% of them providing a basic product or service to the American public. And the thing is that how can you get involved in providing that basic product and service in a better way? Franchising did it by one way of taking hamburgers and marketing it better. Sam Walton did it through taking department stores and making them better through big discount stores. But the trend's not going to be that. And the future trend is going to be through distribution, where the manufacturer goes directly to the consumer. And today they've got VCRs that you can speak to and program them. And they have television sets, they have telephones built in, they'll accept credit cards. And so the future will be you speaking what you want in your own home and having the manufacturer distribute it to you. But somebody has to build the networks. And this opportunity is developing consumer networks, where you go out and get the masses of the public ready, and the consumer and the manufacturer come together to form the business of the future. And I see that, and that's what I'm a part of. And it's allowed me to retire. Today I'm getting to do all those things I always wanted to do, and I'm enjoying the family and all the dreams that go with that. but it's knowing that my future is secure because of the creativity of the business that we're in that allows you to be free.
This is Peggy Bogus, a business owner from Georgia.
It was just a short time ago when one night Jerry and I were out together and we were just sitting talking, having dinner, and all of a sudden it occurred to us that this was the year, I guess it was about 3 years ago, that he would have officially retired from the military after 40 years. And we stopped and thought about that because he had, of course, been drawing a program out night after night, trying to help people understand what this 40-year plan really meant and how it would really end. And we were sitting there discussing the fact that had we not changed the direction that we were going in, this would have been the year that he retired from the military. We would have had 3 kids in college, and he would have been getting out of the military to survive on half the income that we already had trouble living on. And he would have been going out to try to find another occupation at his age, which is very difficult when you get over 40, 45 years old. They're not real interested in you. You know, they can get 2 20-year-olds and pay them a lot less. So he would have been looking at something, whether it be teaching, or most people come out of the military, go into real estate, try to teach, insurance, things like that, anything they can get to try to supplement that retirement income. Not a good thing to look at, not exciting at all, and it really, at that particular point, it made the 40-year plan that most people think is going to happen. The reality of it really came home to us, and then we looked at the lifestyle that we were living now, and I guess when I hear the news, and I do, I'm kind of a little economic studier in a way. I like to look at the trends and see what's happening. It always interests me, and I can't imagine anyone now not pursuing some other source of income, not, you know, thinking that they can put all their eggs in one basket and survive. Because in this day and time, with all the demands that are made and all the changes that are going on, it's just not going to be there.
Now let's begin to understand what Jim Martin and Peggy Bogus see in this business. And with their words in mind, let's move directly into the subject of personal business ownership. Let's take a look at some numbers. In a recent national survey, many as 58% of those surveyed said they would like to start their own business. Those numbers, based on the general population, pale in comparison to other surveys of people with strong business interests. Of the recent graduates from the prestigious Harvard Business School, for example, a whopping 70% say their goal is to own and manage their own business within the next 5 to 10 years. That's why record numbers of men and women are starting their own businesses. In fact, more than 28 million people work at home, full or part-time. More specifically, many are getting involved in a form of non-traditional personal business ownership, which experts are now calling the wave of the future. But before we talk about the ways in which you may decide to pursue personal business ownership, let's talk for a moment about the power of distribution. Retailing is the typical age-old method of distributing goods and services. That's why, for years, retail stores such as Sears, JCPenney, Saks, Ben Franklin, Dillard's, Neiman Marcus, Spiegel, and Montgomery Ward reigned supreme. But those times are changing. Retail giants such as IBM, formerly known as one of the choice few corporations that never fired anyone, have offered early retirement to tens of thousands to reduce overhead. Add Citibank and Wang Laboratories to the list of companies faced with major downsizings. Automobile giant General Motors, chemical powerhouse Monsanto, and even the United States government have all announced layoffs in recent months. Sears has downsized tens of thousands of employees during the past few years and have begun dismantling its once flourishing $57 billion financial and merchandising empire, closing its 97-year-old catalog business, 113 retail stores, and 2,000 catalog stores as part of a massive restructuring plan. Other top leaders have gone out of business completely. And how about shopping malls? Certainly a mainstay of traditional retailing. Since 1990, according to USA Today, revenue at regional shopping malls has dropped 7%. All it takes is a look down Main Street or through the malls in most towns across America, and the empty stores are ample evidence that something drastic has happened to the world of retailing. So if you've considered the more traditional retailing route to owning your own business, it's only fair to point out that the gloomy outlook is likely to produce more of the same, according to industry analysts. Whether you've thought about owning your own community grocery store, a cozy restaurant, an auto parts store, or any of the other traditional business methods, all require a substantial investment of money and time before the accountants can begin to use anything but red ink. And even if you wanted to get involved in a retail operation, not only do you need a huge capital investment, but you also should have tremendous experience in what you would be doing. Those two reasons, startup expenses and lack of experience, are why the Small Business Administration estimates that 65% of all new businesses that begin each year will be but a tragic memory within 5 years. But today, despite some gloomy forecasts for the retail industry, there are many who still dream of owning their own business. So it's no wonder why so many alternatives to traditional retailing have emerged. These non-traditional options continue to change the way America, and indeed the world, does business. Actually, the movement away from retailing and the simultaneous dismantling of traditional distribution systems was foretold several years ago by trend trackers and futurists, such as John Naisbitt in Megatrends 2000, Alvin Toffler in The Third Wave, and Faith Popcorn in The Popcorn Report. Distribution, in other words, is the key. Consider, for example, the words of one of the world's most read economists. Paul Zane Pilzer is the best-selling author of 2 books and has served as an economic advisor in 2 presidential administrations. A Wharton graduate, he became the youngest officer at Citibank at age 22 and Citibank's youngest vice president at age 25. While at Citibank, he started several entrepreneurial businesses and earned his first $1 million before he was 26. He testified before Congress, warning them about the inevitable savings and loan disaster. And in 1989, he wrote about that growing scandal in the critically acclaimed best-selling book, Other People's Money, The Inside Story of the S&L Mess, published by Simon & Schuster. His follow-up, Unlimited Wealth, published by Crown, is an historical and futuristic view of the economy. Today, Pilzer is managing partner of Zane May Interests, a Dallas-based national real estate investment company, and is a leading-edge voice in helping people to understand the new principles of distribution. Pilzer writes in Success magazine, prior to the past few decades, the greatest personal fortunes in American history were built on the bedrock of natural resources and manufacturing. Think of the Astors, fur trading, the Rockefellers, oil, the Carnegies, steel, and the Fords, automobiles. But in the past 2 decades, the majority of great personal fortunes have been made by people who found better ways of distributing things. In the same article, it is stated, distribution is the wave of the future. The industrial, agricultural, and information ages have come and gone, leaving distribution as the next path to wealth. Those who choose to participate will prosper. As Pilzer has explained on such top-rated programs as CNN's Larry King Live and National Public Radio's Marketplace, technological change is the driving force behind our economy. Obviously, if you plan to move into some form of personal business ownership, you will definitely want to understand and use the newest distribution concepts. What are the other options in terms of the way products and services are distributed? The 6 hottest distribution trends are discount stores, warehouse clubs, franchises, in-home and interactive shopping, home-based enterprises, and referral-based marketing and interactive distribution opportunities. Let me take these one at a time. The industry leaders among discount stores, Walmart and Kmart, started back in 1962. Now everything has changed. They are no longer marketplace stepchildren, far from it. Using innovative marketing methods and a strong drive to provide superlative service, both have led the way in putting out their top competitors to the tune of $75 to $80 billion a year. During recent years, growth for Walmart, now the nation's top chain, have increased as much as 26%, though those numbers have been off the past year or so. Still, the 20+% growth is exciting compared to Kmart's 8.6% growth. In fact, Walmart plans to be doing $129 billion worth of business by themselves by the turn of the century. What does this mean for the more traditional retailers? In 1989, the CEO of Walmart predicted that 50% of all retailers today would not be around by the year 2000. Later he said, "We've made a mistake. It was an understatement." Retailing certainly seems to be on a decline, and obviously discount stores will continue to be a dominant force in the marketplace. In a very real sense, discounters have changed the marketplace landscape forever. Let's move into another hot distribution trend. Warehouse clubs are a very visible offshoot from the discounting phenomenon in what began as big-box, bulk-buying stores. The warehouse club industry grew at hyperspeed during the 1980s, from 15 warehouse club stores in 1983, and by 1992, the number grew to 577 outlets, reaching a $34 billion total revenue by 1993. Leading clubs include Sam's, owned by Walmart, Price, Costco, and BJ's Wholesale. Some still think of these places as vast caverns of generic products, but the industry is being forced to change. As competition has increased, most stores have started adding products and services. Sam's, for example, has added produce, meats, and bakery items. Costco is rolling out photo labs. BJ's Wholesale is testing eyeglass centers, and several clubs are expanding internationally. Let's talk about the third hot trend, franchises. Just as the discount phenomenon began during the early 1960s, so the franchise sensation started during that time. The McDonald's chain was one of the first. Later came such giants as Lerner's Clothing, Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurants, now known as KFC, Pip Printing, Wendy's, Snelling Employment Services, and Priority Management Executive Trainers are also booming, taking away more of the traditional retail market. Presently, franchises do a whopping $758.5 billion worth of business throughout America. That accounts for approximately 1/3 of all goods and services currently being bought. Franchises are obviously here to stay. The fourth trend is in-home and interactive shopping. Right now, there are 80 to 100 million homes throughout America which are involved in some form of in-home interactive shopping. QVC, an industry leader in the area of cable TV-based in-home shopping, boasts nearly 100,000 new subscribers per month. Hundreds of companies and dozens of celebrities, from baseball's Reggie Jackson to NASCAR's Richard Petty, from weight loss guru Richard Simmons to designer Bob Mackie, and from soap opera's Susan Lucci to Broadway's Carol Channing and country comedian Ray Stevens, have joined this marketing parade. In fact, TV shopping has soared to become a business that generates $2 billion in revenue annually. Corporate America is waking up to the fact that people want the convenience of in-home and interactive shopping. Cable channels such as QVC and the Home Shopping Network opened the doors to this phenomenon. That was just the beginning. Now, such retailing giants as Saks Fifth Avenue and Macy's have entered the world of interactive marketing. Even specialty retailer Nordstrom's, known for top-notch customer service, has joined the in-home shopping trend, creating a direct sales division, which will handle projects such as a national mail-order catalog program and potential television shopping broadcast channels. It's not just happening in America. In England, for example, a grocery company called Supershop allows customers to order a full range of groceries 24 hours a day using an interactive TV system. The groceries are then delivered within hours. And it's just the beginning. The future of interactive distribution was trumpeted by an April 12, 1993 Time cover story under the headline, "The Info Highway, Bringing a Revolution in Entertainment, News, and Communication." Using glitzy graphics, the story mapped out the soon-to-be-in-your-home information network. TV networks, TV and video producers, movie collections, interactive video games, record companies, broadcast stations, long-distance phone services, interactive shopping channels, television archives, libraries and data banks, news and information services, financial services, classified advertisements, and video catalogs. John Sculley, former Apple Computer chairman, now chairman and CEO of Spectrum Information Technologies, estimates that the revenue generated by this mega industry could reach $3.5 trillion worldwide by the year 2001. By contrast, the entire U.S. gross national product today is about $5.9 trillion. Major players such as Viacom, Paramount, Bell Atlantic, MCI, Amway, Time Warner, TCI, Microsoft, Intel, HBO, and AT&T remain the cutting edge of putting interactive media at distributors' and customers' fingertips. Soon, most cable TV customers will be able to order movies, do banking, make phone calls through their TV sets, and enter the world of electronic malls. In one form or another, this is already happening in the United States, in England, and other places around the world. The latest merger mania among the communication conglomerates, and I'm quoting from USA Today, may be to the dawn communications age what IBM was to the computer age. By sheer size and clout, the media giants will be able to drive new technology, such as interactive television, into the market. Other companies will have to keep up. End of quote. Obviously, in-home and interactive shopping is going to be the next great distribution move, especially when you also factor in the U.S. catalog industry, which has grown from 88 million shoppers and $35.7 billion in revenue in 1987 to 102 million shoppers and $51.7 billion in sales this past year. Let's move on to another major distribution trend, fifth on my list. It is home-based enterprises.
This is the end of side one. Please turn the cassette over for the continuation of this program.